U.S. President Donald Trump says he is going to substantially increase trade with India and Pakistan after the two countries agreed to a ceasefire on Saturday. He also offered U.S. mediation on the Kashmir dispute. The fragile ceasefire appears to be holding despite reports of some violations. The agreement was reached after days of mutual cross-border shelling and missile attacks that killed dozens of people. Violence between the nuclear-armed neighbors was sparked last month after militants killed 26 people, most of them Indian tourists. India blamed the attack on Pakistani-backed extremists.
Tracer fire lights up the night sky above Indian-controlled Kashmir. As Muslims are called to prayer, explosions can be heard in the distance. It came just hours after the announcement of a ceasefire. After 4 days of cross-border shelling, drone and missile attacks between India and Pakistan, this was supposed to be a return to peace, with patrols set up to police the line of control between Indian and Pakistani Kashmir.
For the last few hours, there have been repeated violations of the understanding arrived at earlier this evening between the Directors General of Military Operations of India and Pakistan. This is a breach of the understanding arrived at earlier today. We call upon Pakistan to take appropriate steps to address these violations and deal with the situation with seriousness and responsibility.
Although Indian civilians welcomed the ceasefire, its military said it remained ready to retaliate.
Every misadventure by Pakistan has been met with strength, and every future escalation will invite a decisive response. We remain fully operationally ready to launch whatever operations may be required in defense of the nation.
We have acted as a responsible state for the world and regional peace and stability, and for the millions of people's lives in the region who gave a positive response on a ceasefire suggestion. I want to give a special thank you to President Trump, who played a sincere role in the ceasefire.
People on both sides are celebrating.
I want to congratulate both countries on the ceasefire decision. They've used their common sense and arrived at this conclusion. War is not the answer to anything.
The ceasefire had appeared to give both sides the opportunity to walk away claiming victory. Further breaches may threaten the fragile peace.
Let's bring in DW's Delhi Bureau Chief, Zandra Petersman. Zandra, Trump has offered to mediate between India and Pakistan on the Kashmir issue. What's India's position on this?
Well, it appears to be that U.S. President Donald Trump wants to be in the driving seat when it comes to Kashmir. Let's not forget he was the first to announce this truce way ahead of Pakistan and India. And while Pakistan has acknowledged U.S. diplomacy, the Indian messaging here is this truce was talked over by India and Pakistan directly at the military level. The directors of military operations had been talking to each other. In fact, India makes the point that it was Pakistan who picked up the phone first, approaching India with an offer to de-escalate, and then India reciprocated, and the truce was reached. So there is no mention here that there was a very active role of U.S. diplomacy. India, whenever it comes to Kashmir, wants to be seen firmly in the driving seat. Of course, we know about U.S. involvement behind the scenes. We know that U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio did call Pakistan's army chief. J.D. Vance did call Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But yet again, the messaging here is we were ready to de-escalate all along, and once Pakistan was ready to do so, it happened.
I want to stay with this for a moment. This isn't the first time Trump has offered mediation on the Kashmir issue. Why is India opposed to third-party mediation?
One has to understand that India is, first of all, fiercely proud of its independent foreign policy, a policy of non-alignment, a policy of multipolarism. India sees no contradiction, for instance, to be close friends with both Russia and the United States or Russia and Ukraine. And there is another added layer here that we always have to keep in mind. As far as India is concerned, Kashmir is a domestic issue. It is an internal issue. It is nothing to be seen as something for international mediation. India, let me repeat here, really wants to be in the driving seat as far as any political solution to the Kashmir conflict is concerned. If we look back, this Kashmir conflict is in place ever since 1947, when the region was divided between India and Pakistan after the end of British rule on the Indian subcontinent.
What's the situation in Indian-administered Kashmir at the moment?
Things appear to be calm. We see people returning home, people who were either evacuated or fled on their own account. Time of mourning, time of damage assessment, obviously, because many villages along the line of control were under heavy fire for 4 days, fire from heavy artillery, drones and missiles. People are also still very careful because of the ceasefire violations that we witnessed last night. And also many airports here in the northern parts of India, including in Jammu and Srinagar, which are the main cities in Indian-administered Kashmir, remain shut while Pakistan has opened its airspace for civilian aviation again.
You'll no doubt be watching what the next few hours will deliver. That's DW's Delhi Bureau Chief, Zandra Petersman. Many thanks.